man on the run, riding down Highway 61. Sides of the roads all lined with fields, nothing but sunset in the windshield. Feel it as soon as I ride into town. This is where I go to slow down. Miles and miles of soybeans and corn. I'm in the place where the blues was born. About a mile from the big muddy river, place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away from being out in the sun all day. No matter where in the world I go, I'll always find home on the banks of that oxbow.
Alright guys, Crappie Connection here, back at the Crappie Expo here in Branson, Missouri, 2020. I'm Justin Berry.
Brad Chappell here.
And we have the bass tank, man. Hot man Zeke.
You know
and
it.
John. Hey, we're going to start off real quick of course, the bass tank. Real good sponsor, Crappie Connection. Just tell us a real quick start. What year did you get started? Yeah, history about it. What got it started and where is it at right now?
Well, the quick history is that the bass tank actually existed before we started selling electronics. Scott Palmer, my partner, he's an engineer, and we thought about, some different products that we wanted to come up with, some different ideas. So the name, the bass tank, actually comes from like a think tank or like a shark tank, think tank for bass fishing. And that's where the bass tank name started from. So we had that started around 2017, and during that time I qualified for the Force Wood Cup. And I had, a brand new boat, and I was sponsored by Garmin, so I had a LiveScope before anybody else did. I went from the pan optics, and then we went into the LiveScope. And, obviously the technology was amazing. I was one of the first ones to ever have it on the boat. So I got to fish to the 2018 Force Wood Cup with that technology. And Scott went there, as a friend. And obviously he was a bass nerd, so he wanted to go backstage and do all that cool stuff. So he was there as, support team for me if anything were to happen. Well, first day of takeoff, brand new boat, brand new electronics. The boat won't start. Day 2, I'm smashing them. I'm coaling. About 3 hours left in the day. Real windy. I get down. I start coaling, so I drift back. I didn't hit spot lock. I drifted back. Went down to fire my motor up to motor back to the brush pile I was fishing, and boat won't start. And so after about an hour, got the boat started. Got excited. Grabbed my jacket to throw it over my shoulder. Pulled the kill switch. And so another hour later, finally got it jumped again. And I'm like, I'm just going back. I want to go to the weigh-in. I want to go across that stage. So lost my last 3 hours of fishing, right? It's not really a sad story because this is what started the bass tank.
Yeah.
On the drive back, it was on Lake Ouachita, and we were driving into Hot Springs. I was telling Scott about my day, and he's getting really frustrated. Well, he's an engineer, control systems engineer by trade, and so he knows everything about electronics and things of that nature, and amperage and voltage and all that stuff. And so he gets out and he starts looking at the boat after the weigh-in and everything, and the Garmin guy comes, and basically they're like, no, this is installed wrong, this is installed wrong, this is installed wrong. And I'm looking at Scott, and I said, hey Scott, there's an opportunity here. And he said, well, what's that? He's more frustrated than I am. And I said, well, at this moment in time, I'm one of the 50 most important fishermen today, because in the world, because it was the Force Wood Cup. And I'm like, if this is happening to me, brand new boat, brand new electronics, then this is happening to everybody everywhere. And so he's like, so what's your point? I said, well, here's my point, man. As manufacturing, pinches pennies, and these dealers, they don't have the bandwidth. They're down here on what they have the capability of doing. But Garmin, obviously, with the LiveScope, they've taken it to another level. Humminbird and Lowrance, they're going to be trying to keep up. Power Pole's coming out with some cool things, even including a trolling motor and stuff. So there's this gap between technology advance and the bandwidth of what actually
So a light switch went off in your head.
It did, and I said, at that point, I was like, I had 1,000 hours in LiveScope. I said, I'm telling you, there's something about this that no one even knows about that's happening, and I can teach people how to use this thing, and you can make sure that it's installed perfectly, and people don't have this problem. And so obviously it was a power draw issue that was causing the problems. And so we went to Garmin, and they said, well, no, we can't let you become a dealer because you don't have a nice fancy storefront.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to them, and I said, okay, well, you're having this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. Basically my same story. And I said, what if I could guarantee you we'll do an install shop and you'll never have that problem again? And that's when they pulled the trigger, and they said, yeah, you can. So Scott and I had a goal, a 6-month goal. We thought it was going to be a little side gig, make a little change, and do things right for people and have fun. And literally the first show I went to, I called him. I was like, Scott was working. I was like, hey, man, we got a hold of something here. Like this is resonating with everybody. We've already hit our 6-month goal, and I'm going home. We got some units to send out. And I mean, it's been just a rocket ship from there. I mean, fortunate in life, Zeke and I went to high school together. We got a picture of us at Lake Fork junior year.
Oh, really?
High school.
16 years old.
So I didn't know the relationship between y'all, how long y'all knew one another. So y'all went to school together.
Yeah.
And we got reintroduced. We had lost track after high school, hadn't been around each other in how many ever years that is?
No, about 18 years.
Yeah. And obviously he was in love with LiveScope, and he's catching these crappie, and I'm catching these bass. And we kind of filtered over, and I saw the magic that it was with the crappie. My first fish was a crappie, catching crappie with my dad, we have no money. We went to, heated docks and caught crappie. That's what you did.
Yeah.
In the spring, you jump in the creeks and hope you hit the spawn just right. And so all this kind of melted together. A little bit of my dad, he actually passed away during the same time. And like I said, not a sad story on this side of things. It actually cleaned me a little bit because I was going so much into the bass world that, getting back in the crappie world.
Went back to your roots, kind of.
Yeah, it just felt like it was reconnecting with my dad, my childhood. And so Zeke comes along, and he's in love with the crappie thing.
Making me want to cry over here. It's kind of heartwarming. It really is, but I like hearing these stories.
I'm in love with this guy. Yeah, no, so, and Zeke was at a position in life where I mean, you can tell where he was at, but we offered him a job to do what he does the best, and that's, customer service. And I have enough businesses going on that I know that sometimes I need an insulator. I'm dealing with the financial side of things, and sometimes it's not easy to deal with that and be the smile and the customer service, and Zeke can be that guy for us. And I mean, dude, you talk about hitting a home run or grand slam, Zeke was the guy. There is no other guy besides Zeke, as far as I'm concerned.
That's the truth.
And like, we handed the ball to Zeke, and he's ran with it.
He ain't double dribbled yet, has he? He ain't traveled yet.
we got fortunate enough to qualify last year for Wally Marshall, because Zeke went down and won that PCT last year, and then got fortunate enough to get second place. And I don't trying to shorten it up, but that allowed us to spend the last couple years concentrating on the crappie world and introducing this technology to the crappie world, and me as well. So I've been silently doing my bass thing still at the same time, but obviously it just has flipped the whole industry in the crappie world. So.
How much different is the bass side of the fishing world compared to the crappie
That's what
world?
I was writing down.
I'm a step ahead of you, man.
So there was something in my eyes that was revealed. I used to go to all these expos like we're here, and all I saw was the bass guys, and all I saw was the fancy bass guys and the shiny bass guys, and I wanted to kind of be like them. And how do I do this? And then I realized, man, I had been a gigantic bass hole. And I looked around, and then I realized now 70% of these guys are what I call pan fishermen. I mean? They don't want to catch a big bluegill. They want to catch a catfish, and they want to smash some crappie, and they want to put some meat in the freezer. And it was like back to my roots again of just catching fish and having fun. And that's probably your main two differences between the two sides. There's good guys on both sides. But, man, getting back to your roots and stuff about just catching fish, that part in the crappie world, they've got it beat.
Yeah. Now, quick question real quick, because I asked another guy, that Mark Shelton guy with Paddle Jumper, I think. Since you're in the bass world, you're going to be fishing it next year, is what you were saying a while ago. How much of an impact does LiveScope have on the bass world? Because we're not hearing as much as it is on the bass world as the crappie
I think they're
world.
using it way more than being publicized like the crappie side has been.
Share some of that with us from what you know.
Yeah, I mean, I know that 2018 I won 3 tournaments in the fall, and all I was doing was looking at them like you look at with crappie, catching fish that other people couldn't catch. No one had a LiveScope. I'll tell you. Here's a quick difference. 2018 in the fall, the Bass Nation qualifier, Oklahoma, in the fall, muddy water, Lake Eufaula. The fish were out schooling out in the middle like everybody knows they do, but you can't touch them. in the bass world. So everybody's hitting the bank, the weights are down, and I'm idling around. I see him, and I'm like, I pull out LiveScope. I see him, throw a spoon out there, boom, I'm catching him. Like, that's all I needed, one cast. I got him figured out. My buddy calls me that night, Matt Pangrack with BTL Bass Talk Live, and they do a podcast thing as well. And he called me and said, you found him? I said, yeah, but you can't catch him. I'll tell you exactly what I'm going to do, because no one else had a LiveScope on the front of their boat. And I went out and I won that tournament. I won the next 3 tournaments doing it. And now, last couple weeks ago, we had a tournament that was a regional tournament. The same group of guys, we were there. They asked a question, who has a LiveScope on the boat? Everybody in the tournament raised their hand.
Really?
So it's affecting things. Now, the thing that you'll notice about in the bass world that's a little bit different from the crappie world is that I can use it to analyze the environment a lot more than in the crappie world. In the crappie world, you are your environment, but you're also targeting fish a lot more. In the bass world, for instance, I put it down in a tournament last year in the fall, and I saw bait running everywhere. Well, in the crappie world, that can be good, but it also can be really bad. And so in the bass world, if it's there, it's just good. And so I'm throwing a topwater and I'm smashing them. So I'm like, this is where I'm going to start. Next day, put my trolling motor down. Before I even made a cast, I told my co-owner, we're going to have to find somewhere else to fish. It was blank. The screen was blank. No bait anywhere. We tried it for about 10 minutes. Nothing went. And we got out of there. Well, before LiveScope, I would have tried different techniques. I would have been in there for at least 2 hours before I decided to leave. And no, I just rolled. And so then I ran the rest of the day until I saw that same thing that I saw. The bait was rolling, and I knew that they were in there. And I ended up winning the dang tournament because it was just an environmental thing. I wasn't looking at fish, but I was seeing the environment.
That's awesome. So, game changer. Dip into, I know, customer service, man. Y'all got it. Talk about it all the time. You talk to these other guys that we talk to, or you walk by somebody, you're hearing some of the questions that they have and everything. We talked about it earlier. Zeke, what's the top 3 phone calls that you get, that you have, as far as your settings, what issues they're having, and go from there?
I mean, first of all, customer service-wise, I think the reason that we're able to do as well as we do in that regard.
Well, for one, I seen you when we was doing an interview showing some product. I mean, you just gave your cell phone to somebody you don't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
give them cell phone number. I mean, we want to be available to everybody, all of our customers. But obviously, that's our number one priority, is to take care of our customers. These electronics are changing year to year, day to day, it seems like, and figuring out all the new the settings you need to run to get the best picture. If you have an issue, transducer not connected or whatever the issue may be, we want to be available to these anglers. So that is our primary focus, is to take care of our customers. It's not always easy, but that is how we've built the business. And one of the reasons we're able to do it is because we're all fishermen ourselves. We're out there using this stuff every day. We're out competing with it at the highest level. And that is crucial to what we do. We've got Scott Palmer, who John mentioned, his partner. It's an engineer. And I'll tell you, I know a lot of the tech stuff, but Scott takes it to another level, and he can really get in depth with people when needed and solve problems. So, I hand out my cell phone number to customers all the time. I get calls literally 24/7.
So what's your top 3?
Oh,
the number one. Let's start with number one.
Number one.
The number one call I get is guys that get LiveScope, and it's not a magic wand. We all want that magic wand, but you still got to put time behind it. Screen time on the water. So they get it and they go out with it, and first day on the water, I can't see my jigs. I mean, 5, 6, 7 times a day I get that call. I can't see my jigs. Why can't I see my jigs? And the number one reason that they can't see their bait, jigs, minnow, whatever they're dropping or casting, the number one reason is transducer orientation. LiveScope is sensitive to the fact that it is 2 completely different orientations depending on which side of the pole or trolling motor shaft that you put it on. So it looks backwards, honestly, if it's on the starboard side.
So they don't have their transducer mounted correctly.
That's it. And it's very, very common and very simple fix, fortunately. I have people text me a picture of their transducer. It's the first thing I go to, and let them know to give it 2 clicks counterclockwise or click clockwise and how it needs to be oriented. And I mean, literally, a guy called me from Millwood Lake maybe 2 weeks ago, right before I left town, and he's out there and he's struggling. And I can't see my jigs. I wasn't thinking at the time, and I was going through his settings. I said, let's dial in your settings. And I actually asked him about his transducer, and he said, oh, no, I'm sure I've got it on there right, you know. We go through his settings, get that dialed in, and he still can't see his bait.
Prove it. Send me a picture.
That's exactly what I did. I said, man, I know you think it's right, but if you don't mind, go ahead and text me a picture of it. I'll call you right when I get the text and let you know. Sure enough, he sends me a picture of his transducer, and it was looking backwards at his motor. So we got that corrected. I called him back, give it 2 clicks counterclockwise, and he does it, puts it back in the water, drops his bait. Oh my gosh, I can see my jigs. You're a genius. Oh, you're my hero, you know, and it feels good.
Yeah.
You know, that side of the business, it feels good. And, you know, I can't solve every problem out there, but I sure give it my all. And if I can't, then I get a hold of Scott and we get it figured out one way or another. So,
all right, number 2.
Number 2.
Settings.
Settings. Absolutely.
I figured it'd be settings.
Yeah, definitely settings. And I tell all my customers, we've got videos out there now. John did a great video with top 10 LiveScope settings. It's on our YouTube channel. You can check out. Because honestly, the call volume on this question is pretty heavy, and it takes a little time. But, you know, your go-to settings when you just get LiveScope hooked up and you're getting started with it, turn your TVG off, and it should be off out of the box, okay? Turn your noise rejection on high. And then what most people don't know about or didn't until the last few months is color gain. And color gain is essentially contrast, right? You know, brightness. And if you turn, it's going to come out of the box on default at 50%. And we recommend turning that up to about 85%. Everything jumps out at you a lot better. Seeing your bait, seeing the tree, seeing the fish, the brush pile, whatever it is, that color gain really helps you out. So settings are crucial. We're constantly out there on the water playing with the settings, trying to learn to tune these units. There's a new setting with a new update, which is the third question I get all the time. Hey, a new update came out. Should I do it? You know, and I mean, it's every day. And up until now, I've been telling people, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, if everything's working, don't worry about it. If you're having issues, go ahead and do the update. Well, 3 days ago, an update came out finally for the ghost tree.
The infamous ghost tree.
The infamous ghost tree.
Too, I mean.
The ghost tree. No, I mean, I talk about the ghost tree.
Who named it that?
More than I breathe.
Who named it the ghost tree?
Anglers.
Yeah, it was
anglers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grassroots thing.
Grassroots thing. Yeah. And so it's ghost tree, and blind spot. Because with settings, you can filter out the ghost tree, but it creates a blind spot. And the ghost tree shows up on your graph, whatever depth of water you're in, that's the distance out that it starts, and then it curves back towards you. So if you're fishing 16-foot water and you've got a 12-foot rod, a 14-foot rod, whatever, it's going to start out there at 16 foot and start curving back, which gets right in your way when you're trying to drop on a fish. So, you know, that's another thing. Understanding these things helps you manage them, because LiveScope is still new technology, really, and they're still getting it dialed in and totally figured out. But they finally came out with an update to help reduce the ghost tree as much as possible. You've got beams reflecting off the bottom of the lake that are bouncing back and essentially hitting each other, and that's what's causing it. So this new update, John and I did it, which, you know, it's never real smart to do an update 2 days before the biggest crappie tournament in the world happens.
Right.
But we were so excited about this and been having the same issues everybody else has. At 10 o'clock at night, we were out there installing the update. And we went out the next day, the last day of practice, and wow, wow.
It made that much difference, this new update?
It made a massive difference. It corrected every blind spot that we've had. You still see a very, very, very mild ghost tree that doesn't affect me at all. No big deal. So this latest update, I can't remember what it is, 20.0.1.1.
Yeah, what's the date today?
Yeah. So, and what it does is it's going to give you a new setting in there called Ghost Reject. So you've got your TVG, your noise reject, and now Ghost Reject. And you can do low, medium, or high. And we haven't had enough time yet. It just came out, and we've been fishing this tournament to spend a lot of time to say, okay, here are the exact settings you need to run. We'll get that figured out, and we'll put it out there for everybody. I think we're running it on low.
We ran it on low. We didn't want to turn it up too much at first because there's an electronics thing Scott calls like the rubber band theory, where if you stretch something too far, that it won't necessarily always go back in the same place. So we tested out on low, but it does benefit you without even turning it on already.
The
black spot stuff was gone.
Yeah, that blind spot
and
was a killer.
It made our stuff a lot hotter.
Yes. Yeah, we were able to.
The screen was a lot hotter.
Able to turn our gain down some, turn our color gain down some, and we were fishing deep all week long, and it really helped track our bait. Dropping it 25 and 30 foot deep to catch fish.
Yeah.
Where before, the other days of practice, I mean, we were struggling. We were struggling tracking our bait all the way down to those deep fish, and right after that update, it was like, wow, it's like new again. This is what I'm talking about. So, I recommend doing that latest update. It's going to fix a lot of the problems that we've all been having.
Talk about the update there, and I heard we were sitting there talking to Todd Huckabee earlier over there, and you pretty much the best way to do an update is do it on SD card. Yeah,
I mean, I always recommend it to everybody. That's a hard update. Download it on the computer, load it onto an SD card, put it in your unit. Now, you can update your units through Active Captain on your phone, which is great. I mean, it's incredible that we've got that technology. We can be on the water literally and update your unit if you're having an issue. But that's an over-the-air update. It's transferring it from your phone to the unit. So inevitably, it's very possible that you're going to lose some information doing an over-the-air update.
We tried for 2 hours last day of practice to do it.
Yeah.
And just because of service.
Second day of practice.
Yeah.
You almost have to be parked up behind or beside your house with Wi-Fi or something to probably do it.
You need it to be good and strong.
Yeah.
And it warns you that if you power down or have a bad connection, that you can cause issues. So we've always been trying to be careful about
I got you.
about that, unless you have really good service.
And here's another question I get a lot. People call saying, I'm trying to do the update, trying to download it, trying to get it on an SD card and all that. And, a lot of us fishermen, we're just some rednecks. We're not real computer savvy, And
speak for yourself.
I actually had to call Scott the other night for a little help. So, so what we started doing is we sell SD cards with the latest updates on them. We're not trying to make money off that.
Yeah.
I mean, we sell them, I think, $20 a pop or something.
Oh, really? So you already got it?
Yeah, we just mail it right out to you.
That way, if a guy don't have the internet or a computer or anything like that, but he's got himself a LiveScope now, he gonna catch himself some fish.
Yep.
That's a good good seller right there.
Get on our website. You can order the latest update card. And keep in mind, if you download this on your computer, it's going to take 2 or 3 hours just to download. So it's just easy. $20, get it done, pop it in your unit. It's going to pop up, hit yes, do it, and you're good to go.
Be done with it, huh?
So, and we've got them on the website. Now, keep in mind, there are 2 different updates for EchoMap units. A lot of guys are running, the EchoMap Ultra series or the 93 UHDs in EchoMap unit. That's a separate update from the GPS map series units. So if you're running a 1222, 1242, any GPS map series unit, you need the GPS map update. EchoMap needs the EchoMap update.
I know a lot of people ask me all the time, so I know you get the same question: is what unit should I buy?
Oh man, I love that one. I love that. I didn't at first.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started working for John and Scott, it was literally, it was kind of a thrown to the wolves deal. I knew what I was a little bit about the units and Garmin, and I knew how to use it. Most importantly, so I'm learning as I go and learning on the fly. But been doing it almost 2 years now, and so when people call, they don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. I should say, what they need. So that's my job to help figure it out. And I never try to sell something to somebody that they don't need. I don't want people to spend more money. This stuff's expensive enough as it is. So you just ask them some questions, what their goals are, what they do.
What their goals are. Yeah, that's a good answer right there.
Yeah, I mean, are you a hardcore tournament fisherman? Are you a full-time guide? Are you a weekend fisherman? Do you go twice a year? What do you do? And it's going to give me an idea. And then what do you need the unit to do? Just LiveScope? Or do you need full mapping, down view, clear view, side view, and down view, 2D sonar? So it depends on what you need that unit to do.
What type of boat you're putting it on.
What type of boat you're putting it on.
What kind of fish do you want to catch.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I get to ask a few questions, and very quickly I'm able to make some recommendations on which unit that they should look at and get.
What's the most popular unit you guys sell?
Oh, geez. 1022, 1222.
That's where I was going with that.
LiveScope dedicated units.
Yep.
Yeah, those units are only for running LiveScope.
Yeah. No sonar
No
capabilities. Now, there's a big misconception. There's the 1022 and 1222. Then there's a 1022 XSV and 1222 XSV. So people call sometimes and they say, hey, I want to order that 1222 XSV. And instead of just taking their money for it, I ask them what they're wanting to do with the unit. And a lot of people don't understand that XSV indicates that it has sonar capabilities. And they're like, no, I just want to run LiveScope on it. Yep. I'm like, then you don't need to spend that extra $200. Right. You just need the 1222. So
I got you. He's playing with some baits here. Tell me about that right there.
Man, this is a cool new bait that we've been working with Big Bite Baits on. It's called the Baby Swim On. Basically, they've been making this bait, but in a large bass bait, and you can see the little legs on it. And I've been wanting a swim bait for quite some time now. Hadn't really found one that I just loved. I don't use plastics a whole lot, but John got us hooked up with Big Bite Baits, and they sent us like a dozen of these last summer. And to test out and prototype or whatever. I was out on Eufaula Lake with some friends of mine, Bo and Jerry, and we were just fun fishing. And I figured, I'd take these out. And Jerry's actually been helping us out with another series of hand ties that we're working with Big Bite on as well. So they were using Jerry's hand ties, testing some hooks and things like that. In summertime in Oklahoma, it's a minibite. We've gotten to the point with LiveScope where we can get him to hit a jig, but a lot of times we downsize. This day on the water on Lake Eufaula, I learned something valuable. You don't always downsize. If they won't hit a hair jig, sometimes they want a bigger bait. So they were dropping on a fish. It was pretty shallow, maybe 6 foot down the water column, and it would not hit that hair jig. And I said, all right, guys, get out of my way. Let me try this thing out. And I flip it out there and float it right over this fish's head. And I mean, he hammers it. And I'm, oh my gosh, there's something to this thing. So, it took that long for me to be a believer in it and love it. And now they've got them for sale over there at their booth. And I'm sure if they're not on the website yet, they'll have them on their website. But awesome jig.
That's awesome. I feel like we're kind of coming to close here. Is there anything else you want to add before we kind of close out?
Man, I really like you guys.
Oh man, we appreciate that a whole bunch.
So I'll tell this story real quick.
All right.
I listened to the very first podcast Crappie Connection ever did, and I was like, finally, a good crappie fishing podcast. At the time, I had a job where I really didn't like it, but I had earbuds in all day long, and I just listened to Crappie Connection over and over. And I'd be calling my dad, calling my friends, have you guys heard this new podcast? So now I'm sitting at the table in front of these fancy microphones with these fancy headphones on.
Shoot, we got these at Walmart, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's really cool to be sitting here with you guys. And obviously we've become great friends over the past couple of years. So.
Yep. Real good, real good. John, anything else you want to add before you close out?
No, I mean, you know, we mentioned about this crappie stuff. Obviously, the bass tank, we're all, you know, electronics and, you know, focus on electronics. Everything you guys hear from my story of me breaking down to you see the passion in Zeke to customer service. Well, I don't got to say much.
Yeah.
Because that was the answer to what I needed as a fisherman.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that will always be the heart of the bass tank is, you know, we're going to take care of you because we've been there. We're still there. We have problems too that we need solved, and we put our head together. And so most of the time we've already faced the problem. By the time you call, we're like, yeah, we've experienced that too, and this was our solution. May not be the best answer right now, but this is the answer you get for right now. But then on the other side, we got a passion just to catch fish. And so we've been given an opportunity through a couple companies. We got this thing with Big Bite Baits, you know, the crappie swim on. We got a series of hair jigs that are going to be coming out called the Slab Seeker series. And the thing about those that are going to be really great is just the hook strength for a tiny jig. You know, you got these 3-pound crappie that you want to catch in the wintertime, and you need to be able to lift those things in the boat and get on them real quick where they're floating. And so that's something that we're working on with them. Sunline has worked with us and given us, you know, some fluorocarbon that's just amazing and some braid that's amazing to use as well. So that's something that we're, you know, working with that we there's something the fish and catch aside. And then something I'm excited about, Brad, you know, I told him, Brad, you know, he's got a signature series out with Denali on his rods, and they've afforded us the opportunity to work with them and do a crappie tank series of rods. And so we got those prototypes now. We actually just now got them. This was the first week we ever got to touch them and use them.
You'll love Denali.
And those guys are great. So I'm excited to do a little bit. You know, our rods are different than yours. Obviously, you got your trolling thing, and we don't know how to do that, and probably never know how to do that.
Oh yeah.
But we got
it's simple.
We got, you know, a 7-footer through a 14-footer, and there's some things that I'm even going to incorporate into the bass world with.
Wait, you said a 17-footer?
I'm sorry, a 7 through a 14-footer. And so I'm pretty excited about that because I got a little bit. There's been a lot of things, little twists that I wanted to throw into rods, see if it'll work. And so we've been working on those. I don't know when they're going to come out, but if you've seen any of the old videos and stuff, we're working on. You'll see them coming out.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about that. So we're just, you know,
I think
excited
I need a prototype.
to bring more things and be a part of more things in the fishing world. And honestly, regardless of whether you use our rods that we worked on or someone else's rod or anything, that's not really the point. The customer base that we have with the Bass Tank, our family that we've been able to create, you know, we want to thank them because without them and their support and buying with us in the electronics and things we do, we wouldn't be able to have fun and be able to do all these other things. And so, you know, that's our main thing is just want to kind of expose our heart a little bit to everybody and say thank you. And you know, hopefully you guys enjoy everything we do and we bring to the table. When we say something works, it really does work. Whether you got something else that you like to use or not, you know, we're not going to back something that's not really going to work.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of great companies out there making rods and baits and everything. And we support them. We support the industry as a whole, be it crappie fishing or bass fishing. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, you heard it first from the Bass Tank guys. Zeke, the hot man. We got John here. I'm Justin Barry here at the Crappie Expo 2020, Branson, Missouri.
Hey, Brad Chopper here. Hit subscribe, guys.
Hit subscribe, like us, share us. You know what to do. We'll see y'all.
Holla.
Subscribe.
From big muddy river, a place I'll always remember. Cabin on the lake and a fishing pole. Forever here I'll rest my soul. I can feel my worries drift away.